my beautiful viewers, Samantha here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you guys are new here. And I'm back. So I was pretty inactive all of last week, but life just got so busy. It was such a crazy week last week that I did not get to film. But I'm coming back to you guys with a video that I have been so excited about filming for so long now. And I'm sure you guys could tell by the title of this video, but I'm going to be giving you guys an update finally on Majora and Pan spiderlings. Now I'm going to be taking you guys from when they were a little itty bitty egg up until now and talking about everything for you guys. And in this video, the videos and photos are going to be kind of flip-flopping between my phone as well as my camera, just because there were so many moments that I did not want to miss, and I feared that while something was happening that I really wanted to get footage of was I was nervous that if I set up my camera I would completely miss it, which actually happened in this clip here of Majora eating a blue bottle fly. So this is just your typical housefly, and I was really hoping to get a video of her actually hunting it, but unfortunately, as soon as I thought about it and wanted to grab my camera, I grabbed my camera, got it all hooked up, and as soon as I got it to the video setting, of course she had already snagged it, which she literally hunted it as soon as I flipped it to the video setting. So I was so disappointed about that, but here's some good footage of her eating it, and also some good pictures of Pan eating his blue bottle fly. And of course I wanted to see if I could catch Pan before he hunted his, but of course he had already caught his as well. So there were just so many things that I just did not want to miss. So the orientation as well as the quality of some of these clips might differ a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure that I threw everything in this video that I could for you guys so that you could really get insight on these little slings' lives. Alright, well, I'm going to get right into it and let's get started talking about it. So first, to start off, let's talk about the actual pairing between Pan and Majora. If you guys haven't seen the video of the full pairing, I will link that video down in the description. But it was just so nerve-wracking putting them together. I didn't know what was going to happen. I did feed Majora about an hour before they actually met, so I was pretty confident that she wasn't going to attack him, but of course that's always a possibility. So that was just super nerve-wracking, and luckily, obviously, since I have all of these wonderful slings back here, it was successful. And after that pairing, within literally a day, Majora had started building her nest for her egg sac. So after about 2 to 3 days, the nest was almost complete. She had made it really thick, which is why I could tell that she was going to be laying her egg sac inside of there. So that's kind of when I knew that the pairing had been completely successful. Obviously I saw it happen, but that's when I knew that she was actually going to be laying an egg sac, and that was very exciting. So after that, within a couple of days after completing her nest, she had made almost like a little cotton ball structure inside of the nest, and that wasn't the actual egg sac, that was just something that the egg sac was going to be going onto, just to, I imagine, give it some extra protection inside of the nest. Then I saw the egg sac, and the egg sac was laid, I believe, on July 11th. I will definitely put it somewhere down here if I check and it was wrong. I do have everything written down in a little journal, and I've been keeping everything logged. So after that, I knew that there was about 2 weeks before they were actually going to hatch. And at that point, Majora was not leaving that nest. She was staying inside of the nest and sitting on that egg sac constantly. On occasion, she would poke her little face out, and that's when I knew she wanted some food. And she would still come out to hunt, but she barely ate during that time. Then the eggs had hatched, and that was so exciting. They were literally like little eggs with legs. Okay, sorry guys, I had to change the memory card on my camera. It got all filled up. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so they're like, after they hatch, which takes about 2 weeks, Majoras hatch on July 21st. So it was just under 2 weeks. It was about 10 days before they hatched, since they were laid. So after that, they're like I was saying before, they're like little eggs with legs, and it is just super adorable watching them like wiggle around in there and stuff. And after they hatch, they're pretty much staying inside of the nest, and they're actually, during that time, feeding on their egg sac. So during this period of time, you don't have to feed them, you don't have to worry about them at all, pretty much for the first 4 weeks since they're laid up until they emerge, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But yeah, so after that, after they had hatched and everything, Majora was still continuing to not really leave the nest too often. I didn't notice at all her, eating the babies at all, which sometimes that's a concern with them, but I don't think it really happens all too often if you do keep the mother well fed. And she was still coming out to hunt more often now that the babies were actually hatched, but she was still spending a majority of her time inside of the nest. And then after that, they had emerged, which basically means that they went through their first molt inside of the nest. And when they emerge, they basically just disperse all over the enclosure pretty much. And it happened pretty slowly. So at first I noticed like one little baby like hanging out on the other side of the enclosure, and I was like, oh my god, it's happening. So that was really exciting. And then after a couple of days, pretty much all of them were out of the nest, and I had to separate them at that point and get them out of the enclosure that Majora was in. So I had gotten like 200 like 4-ounce deli cups, and I spent my time basically just poking holes in them with a little thumbtack. And I don't know if I actually filmed any clips of me actually poking them with thumbtack, because that's pretty self-explanatory, but I did that for little ventilation holes, and I made sure that, here I have a cup here, I made sure that the lid was on the bottom. So I don't know if you guys can actually see the ventilation holes or not, but I put them all along the actual sides of the little deli cup, as well as what's technically the bottom, but I made it the top so that they could build their webs up here. And so I could just open them up like this whenever I wanted to feed or clean their enclosures, and that just made it really easy. So I did separate them out into groups of 5, and I counted them because it was really, really easy actually like putting them into the enclosures, which I was pretty surprised about. It was pretty easy to get them to go in the direction that you needed them to go. So like I wasn't worried about them escaping at all. They were relatively slow since they were just little tiny babies. But yeah, so I got them into their little 4-ounce deli cups, and I put them in groups of 5 because during the first couple of weeks they do really, really well communally. And at this point I counted and I had like 170 babies, which was crazy for her first batch. So that was pretty awesome. And obviously not all of them would have survived, but I really didn't, at least at this point, I haven't had much mortality. I lost, I think, 3 slings so far out of the 170, and pretty much all of them, I believe, were just because of them having a bad molt, which, happens sometimes, and that's one of the reasons why spiders have so many slings. Because, not all of them are going to survive, but I'm pretty impressed with how well her first batch did. And of course, there are some runts, there are like ones that are different sizes, but they all grow at different rates. So that's not uncommon. But overall, the numbers were really, really good. And I was really happy with that. And here I will show you guys how I put them into their containers. And then pretty much after that, within the first like 2 days or so, And I do want to mention that I did put them on my art table that's in front of me now, and it is by my really, really bright window. They were not in direct sunlight, they were getting indirect sunlight, but the slings during the first week or so, I believe, they do best with a little bit of sunlight, and I've heard that kind of stimulates their feeding response. And that really seemed to work because the first couple of days they really didn't seem like they wanted to eat. But then I believe on the third day of them being in their little deli cups, they actually started eating their fruit flies. So that was awesome, and they are just adorable because they are like the same size as the fruit fly, which I thought was awesome. So then pretty much after that, I was feeding them pretty much every day, and then kind of watching them grow. It's really, really important for the slings when they're in a group to have a decent amount of food pretty much all the time, just so, you know, cannibalism doesn't happen, which I had zero problem with cannibalism, which was awesome, and I'm really happy about that because that is one thing that I was worried about. Now for the second batch of slings, because pretty much as soon as I took the other slings out of Majora's enclosure, I noticed that she was kind of expanding her nest. And that kind of gave me the idea that she was about to lay another egg sac, which she did like a couple days after. And, you know, I thought she would be like, oh yay, my enclosure to myself for a little bit. But no, she wanted more babies. And they can lay 1 to 6 egg sacs, and right now I believe she's sitting on her third. So after that, I looked and boom, there was another egg sac, which I was like, oh yay, that's awesome. And then when they had hatched, I noticed that the numbers were a lot less. There was about 70 of them in there, and I actually tried something a bit different with how I separated these ones. So I didn't really separate any of them. I just put them all communally into this little Big Fat Phids cube enclosure that I had gotten from one of their scratch and dent sale. Yeah, one of their scratch and dent sales, and this enclosure is awesome, and it's like the perfect size, but honestly, I don't really like keeping the slings all together. I really prefer keeping them in smaller groups, which I just kind of wanted to experiment with different ways of keeping them. And it did make it more efficient for me feeding them and everything, but it was much more difficult monitoring them and making sure that they're all getting what they need. So I am going to be separating them into groups of 5 again because I feel like that works the best for me. So yeah, so right now I do have about 230 slings at this point. And give or take some, I did actually just send out my very first shipment today. So this is, it's what, October 8th, I believe? So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm like getting butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it because, you know, I just want them to get to their homes very safely, which I'm sure they will, but I just get like a lot of anxiety about it just because I'm like, oh my god, this is my first shipment. Like, I wonder how it's going to go. I wonder how everybody's going to like their slings. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. And I really don't think there's too much else to talk about. Majora's still doing the same thing, being a really, really good mama. And she's still like really huddled up in her nest, which has gotten super, super thick, by the way. It's like almost like impossible to see into there. And the only reason that I do believe she is sitting on another egg sac at this point is because I do see the little cotton ball structure, a new one that she put in, so I'm figuring that there's an egg sac where that little cotton ball structure is. And, you know, during all of this, Pan, he's just living his life. He's, you know, I don't think he's too aware that he has all these babies now, but they're all so cute. Like, it's amazing watching their colors come in, because since Pan's mom, which I had gotten Pan from Ophelia the Monster, and his mom, I do believe, was her jumping spider Penny, and she was a bright orange face. She unfortunately recently passed away not too long ago, but she was a really, really bright orange face. So Pan, even though he doesn't show it visually, he does have orange phase. Like, in him, so a lot of his babies turned out to be orange-faced females. And then of course I do also have like a bunch of them that are turning out like Majora, which is amazing. And then the little males are always black and white, but still they are super cute and they're showing a lot of white on them. Pan, he does have quite a bit of white on him. So yeah, they're all looking like little mini pans, the little males. And yeah, it's just so amazing watching all of them grow. I do have some size comparison photos. I do have a dime for reference in the photos. And the first two that I'm showing you, they are from the same clutch, which is amazing because one of them is so much smaller than the other. They all grow at different rates, like I was saying. And it's just so amazing because some of them are still so tiny and then some of them have grown like amazingly. They're just huge now, pretty much. Not huge, but you guys, they're a lot larger than their siblings. And all of the larger ones I have separated into their own little deli cups so that they have their own personal enclosures so that, you know, there's no cannibalism that goes on between the larger slings and the runts. So it's pretty much just for the run's safety. And then plus I can monitor them a bit more. Now all of the larger ones are actually feeding on pretty much newborn dubias. I do have a dubia colony, so all of the really, really tiny ones I give to them. And they've been taking them like champs. They are amazing hunters, and it's just incredible, their behaviors and how everything is showing, because when they were little newborns, you couldn't really tell like what they were doing, but now they're doing like the little arm waves and hunting amazingly. And of course their eyesight is incredible, so whenever I walk into the room I just have a bunch of little tiny sling eyes watching me, and I just love it. And I am going to be getting into a couple of different species. Sorry guys, my camera had cut out, I had to turn it back on. But anyways, like I was saying, I am going to be getting into a couple of different species, I believe. I'm not going to give away too much at the moment. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything for today's video. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, be sure to follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Callie's Creatures. And if you guys would be interested in any of Majora and Pan's slings, you can message me on there about it. And they are just amazing, and I am so happy to get to share their little journey with you guys. And I wanted to say too that I am so excited that it is my absolute favorite time of year. It is fall, and I have so many more Halloween related videos planned, so stay tuned for that. And like I said, I did have my first shipment today, so I am like, because like, I'm just like, oh my god, I really hope that they get there okay. And it is starting to get pretty dark outside, so I do have to wrap this up because the lighting in here is probably pretty terrible now. But yeah, so I will be sure to see you all next time, and be sure to get ready for Halloween because I am ready. Alright, well I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you all in another video soon. Bye! Too bright. It's getting dark out.